Hi everyone, thanks for stopping by and seeing what I'm up to. My name is Silkyfeather and you can call me Silky. Everybody, I'm so excited. Part 9. Unfuck Your Habitat. You're Better Than Your Mess by Rachel Hoffman. Read by Emily Woo Zeller. Let's take a moment and be excited. We're here with Silkyfeather at Silkyfeather's Nest. Let's continue on how to do this. Unfucking.
Keep up with things where you may have failed to do so before. Do a little bit every day. This ties back to 2010s and incremental progress. By doing something, anything, every day, you avoid the need for a massive cleaning session once a month or once a year or just once ever, whatever it is you've been doing. If you're doing even a small amount of work on a daily basis, you not only catch up with the mess you've made that day, but also help yourself get a little bit ahead of the curve by making a dent in your baseline mess. Over time, you'll find that with just one 20-minute session on the days you don't have time, you can start in on the bigger projects that have been plaguing the landscape of your home for longer than you can remember. As far as not having the time, especially during the week when you're working or at school or trying to keep up with everyone in your household and the million things you're each involved in, well, I'm pretty sure we all manage to find 20 minutes to catch up on Facebook or to see what's on Netflix. So it's not that we don't have time. It's just that we're choosing to prioritize the little bits of time we do have differently. Use your leisure time wisely. About that Netflix thing. We're extremely lucky to live in a technologically advanced, highly mobile era. But these privileges can be an incredibly effective distraction, allowing us to lose hours at a time to do something that's caught our interest. Do something while you're catching up on your series. Fold clothes and pair up all of your socks. Bring the laptop into the kitchen and clear off a counter. Find a 20-minute podcast you like and use it as a soundtrack while you catch up on dishes. You don't have to stop your life in order to clean. You can integrate a little bit of housework into what you're already doing. When you're trying to incorporate a small cleaning session into each day, you may find it helpful to get your 20 minutes in as soon as you get home, before you change out of your outside clothes and while you're still in a working mindset. Once your mind transitions to, I'm home, I'm relaxed, and I'm going to be living on the couch in my underwear until I go to bed, it's really difficult to transition back into, maybe I should load the dishwasher. Figure out when you're likely to be able to squeak a tiny bit of productivity out of your tired self, and make it a point to do something when you can. Use your waiting time efficiently. We all have short spans of time during our day when we're stuck waiting for something else to finish before we can move on to the next thing. Learning how to use that time instead of letting it pass is a great habit to get into. While your coffee is brewing in the morning, unload the dishwasher from last night. Once you put dinner on to simmer or bake, wash all of your prep dishes so there's less to do later. Does your shower take a while to heat up? Use that dead time, and a sponge soaked with the not hot enough water, to wipe down the bathroom counters. While the microwave is going, wash a few dishes. Every little bit helps, and it's time that you'd be wasting by staring off into space anyway. Might as well be productive, right? There are a million little things we can do while we're waiting on other things. What's great about almost all of them is that they're really easy, low investment, low commitment things that still make a big difference. Once you start doing this, you'll find yourself surprised by how little time it actually takes to do things compared to how much time you're assuming it will. Get into the habit of not staying idle while life annoyingly takes time to happen around you. Put it away, not down. One of the most effective habits for keeping our chaos under control is putting things away where they belong, instead of just setting them down. Every time you set empty packaging on the counter instead of putting it in the recycling bin. Every time you kick your shoes off and leave them wherever they land instead of sticking them back in the closet. Every time you return from a shopping trip and set the bags on the counter instead of putting the items away, you're making the mess worse. By being mindful about where items end up, you can keep the chaos from escalating. Once you have a clean surface, room, or home, the very act of simply returning things to their proper place will make more of a difference than almost anything else. Don't have a home for all your things? You need one. Go straight to more stuff than storage. Once you start becoming aware of where you're putting things, you'll notice that it's not really as much work as you think to put things away instead of setting them down wherever. The best part about changing this particular habit is that the better you become at it, the less you have to clean up later on. It's basically a gift from right now you to future you. You're never going to look back and say, "Boy, I'm glad I just left all that stuff I bought the other day out on the counter so I'd have to deal with it later or pretend it doesn't exist." Future you is going to resent the hell out of right now you for not putting that shit away when you got home. But how awesome is it to look at a previously cleaned countertop that's still clean because you're not using it as a way station for every bit of crap that you bring through the door? A little bit of effort in the present is going to save you a ton of time in the future. Mini challenge. Look around. Find 10 things that aren't where they belong. Put them away. Make your bed. I can hear you whining from here. Seriously. I know you don't want to make your bed. I know you don't see the point. I've heard every excuse and rationalization imaginable for not making your bed, and some that I definitely had never imagined. But a messy bed makes a room look messier, and a made bed brings a focal point of cleanliness and order, making even a messy room look a little bit better. It's also a small but obvious form of control over your environment. Unmade beds are agents of entropy. They're only going to get worse. First, the bedding is in disarray. Then laundry starts to pile up on it. Then there's so much other stuff on it that there's no room to sleep unless you toss everything on the floor. Sometime later, you realize you can't remember when you last washed your sheets. Taking a minute to make your bed immediately snaps some order into the chaos. It's also a great place to start if you aren't ready to tackle anything more complex. It's one step, one tiny thing you do in the morning, and then you're done. Bed Making 101. Making your bed doesn't have to be a complicated production. Just pull the sheets up, straighten the blankets, and put the pillows back where they belong. If you're someone who believes your bed needs to breathe, although you do much more in the war against dust mites by washing your sheets on a regular basis and giving your mattress a semi-regular vacuuming, some people are really into the idea that beds need to breathe. Fold your sheets and blankets down neatly by the foot of the bed and arrange your pillows. Oh, and I can just hear some of you now. Why should I make my bed? I'm just going to mess it up later anyway. Well, smartasses, you wash your dishes even though you're going to use them later. You hang your clothes up even though you're going to wear them later. You throw your trash away even though you're going to make more later. The continued use of an item doesn't mean you never have to clean or maintain it. Just make your damn bed. You'll be surprised at how much cleaner your bedroom looks from that one thing. There's this fundamental resistance that people have to making their beds, which comes from a whole lot of different places. Most often, it's because you were made to do it as a child, and refusal to do it as an adult is a way of reclaiming some control over your environment. And that's totally fine. It's human nature to rebel against structure that has been imposed on us, especially in our younger years when we had little to no power of our own. If that's the case, it may be difficult to come back around to choosing to make your own bed, but perhaps with time, you'll see the benefit and decide to do it. Keep your flat surfaces clear. This is as much psychological as anything else. Flat surfaces like counters, tables, dressers, nightstands, etc. tend to accumulate a lot of crap. When they're all piled up with stuff, visually, they're messy, they're overwhelming, they make everything look bad, and the whole thing makes you feel like conquering your mess is hopeless. By keeping the most visible flat surfaces clear on a daily basis, you'll have tangible proof that your cleaning and organizing efforts do, in fact, make a difference. There are practical benefits, too. Most messes tend to build up on flat surfaces, so when you clear them off, you're not just playing mind games with yourself. You're actually tackling a fairly significant portion of your overall mess. Even if you can't clean everything, you can still get one table or counter completely clear and keep it that way with minimal effort every day. And that one surface is going to go a long way toward a cleaner home in general. Surface Cleaning 101. Pick a surface that you see multiple times a day that tends to accumulate clutter. Devote 1 or 2, or 5, no judgment here, 20/10s to clearing it off completely. And then take 5 minutes or so every day to reset it back to clean. If your kitchen counter always ends up a mess of shopping bags, junk mail, and random things you just drop there because it's easier, make that your focus. If your nightstand is so crowded that you can't fit your phone on it overnight to charge, that might be a good place to start. Pick somewhere highly visible that tends to amass more crap than seems possible, and clear it off. Make sure you aren't just relocating the mess somewhere else. Find a logical home for each thing and put it away. If you make this into a daily habit, stuff won't have the chance to turn your flat surfaces into giant, unmanageable disaster zones. Unfuck tomorrow morning. Let's face it, mornings are chaos. We wait until the last possible minute to wake up, get ready for the day half asleep, usually forget something critical in our mad rush, and fly out the door basically unprepared for the day ahead because we've just completely run out of time to get ready. None of us are at our best when we're bleary-eyed and trying not to be late. In keeping with our theme of a little bit of effort now saves you a lot of work later, try setting up a nightly routine that makes the next morning go a little more smoothly. I know. This just reeks of your mom yelling at you to lay out your outfit the night before school. But work with me a little bit here. It makes sense. Think realistically about what trips you up in the morning. Do you lose time trying to find matching shoes or your keys? Is trying to throw together a last-minute lunch costing you time? Or money and takeout, because let's face it, that's way easier. Do you forget to take your meds only to realize when you're on the road and your pills are at home? Forgotten? Get all that shit together the night before and make your morning that much easier. Doing 20 minutes worth of work before bed can save you endless aggravation in the morning. Remember, future you will appreciate whatever right now you manages to do to make life a little easier. How to unfuck tomorrow morning. Tonight. Wash the dishes in your sink. Get your outfit for tomorrow together, including accessories. Set up coffee, tea, breakfast. Make your lunch. Put your keys somewhere obvious. Take your medication. Set out your meds for the morning. Charge your electronics. Pour a little cleaner in the toilet bowl, if you don't have pets or children or sleepwalking adults. Set your alarm. Go to bed at a reasonable hour. Trash goes in the trash can. Seems pretty basic, right? Well, take a look around and see how many dryer sheets, pieces of food packaging, supermarket flyers, napkins, shopping bags, and other assorted pieces of trash you have sitting around. It's a fact of human nature. Sometimes the trash doesn't make it to the trash can. Same goes for recycling. While this is certainly an extension of put it away, not down, it also requires a little bit of self-awareness. What trash are you creating? And what do you do with it once you create it? Packaging is a common culprit here. You buy something new, take it out of the packaging, and get right to using it. Meanwhile, the empty packaging is sitting on the counter where you left it, forgotten forever. Or at least until your next big cleanup. Just a few extra seconds and a couple more steps can solve that problem. If you don't have some kind of trash receptacle in every room, get one. Throwing your trash away is a lot easier when it doesn't require a special trip. Make sure your recycling bin is accessible too. It's not worth it to invest in some kind of complex sorting system if it's too far away or so inconvenient to get to that you'll never use it. The solution can be as simple as another trash can, designated just for recycling, stored right next to your existing trash can. Don't make it more complicated than it needs to be. Of course, part of this habit is taking the trash and recycling out of your house on a regular basis. If you have a designated trash pickup day, make sure you're keeping up with it. If not, assign yourself a day when you take all the garbage and recyclables wherever they need to go once they leave your home. Do the dishes every day. Listen, it's just a fact that dirty dishes multiply infinitely until they fill up every square inch of available space in your home. The longer you leave them, the more they breed. Until the best option to deal with them seems to be lighting a match and hoping a nice cleansing fire will make them go away. But it doesn't have to be this way. If you can manage to incorporate doing your dishes into your daily routine, you'll only need to invest a few minutes at a time in dealing with them, rather than having to set aside the better part of an afternoon. And best of all, no fire involved. Dishes are probably the most hated household chore in existence, and they also tend to be some of the worst contributors to a mess. Those two things are not a coincidence. Dishes are such a problem because we hate dealing with them. But if you keep up with your dishes every single day rather than letting them sit and fester, they become just a tiny annoyance rather than an undefeatable enemy. Try to get into the habit of dealing with your dishes immediately after using them. If doing the dishes is just as much a part of mealtime as food preparation and eating, you'll soon find that the dish problem isn't that much of a problem after all.
And that's where we're pausing today. Went over a little bit with time. Thanks for stopping by and listening to Unfuck Your Habitat. You Are Better Than Your Mess by Rachel Hoffman, read by Emily Wu Zeller. My name is Silkyfeather, and thank you for hanging with me at Silkyfeather's Nest, her audio book club.